Okay, it's time for yet another episode of A Real Truck Driver Plays American Truck Simulator. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a hazmat endorsement on my CDL in real life. The process for getting one is too financially demanding. You need to have a passport, which costs $200, and I don't exactly make enough money at the warehouse I currently work at to get something that expensive. You also have to go to the DMV and take a $10 hazmat endorsement test, which I already passed, but then found out that I needed an additional $200 just to get the endorsement. And then there's a problem with the criminal background check, which you have to pay out of pocket for. That's an additional $55. So all in all, getting a hazmat endorsement costs $265, and I just didn't have the money, so I couldn't get one. Hazmat, passenger, and school bus are the three most difficult endorsements to add to your CDL. Not because they're particularly difficult to pass on the DMV test, but because the hazmat one costs a lot of money, and bus companies give you a lot of BS instead of training you. For example, I was given a job offer by a school bus company once. I spent a week in classes, another week in the parking lot learning skills such as parallel parking, then another week and a half on the road. And after all that, they're like, "Oh, you're doing a good job, but we don't think you can handle it, so goodbye." And I'm like, are you kidding me? I lost a whole month worth of pay because I quit my other job for this, and you're telling me that you're just not going to give me the job? So yeah, I wouldn't recommend applying for a job for any kind of bus company because of all that BS they give you, instead of just training you. How to design a warehouse 101. Don't forget to make it as difficult as possible for the truck drivers to maneuver within the area. I mean, seriously, I don't know what it is, but I feel like architects get some kind of weird incentives for making it difficult to maneuver in these areas. I mean, look at all this, all these sharp angles I had to make it around. And this is actually real too. I've had to be in situations like this. Just be very careful, drive very slowly, and keep looking at your mirrors. Make sure the trailer is not about to hit a building. The manager might try and rush you, telling you you're going too slow, but safety first, so always drive slowly in areas like this. Okay, be extremely careful when using GPS. Like for example, right now it's telling me to go left, but I'm using my common sense and realizing if I make a left turn, the trailer might take out that fence. So I'm gonna go right instead and wait for the GPS to reroute me. So many truck drivers have gotten themselves into accidents by doing exactly what the GPS told them to do, word for word. A truck driver once ended up on an Atlantic City boardwalk following the GPS. Truck drivers have crashed into bridges following the GPS, which for some reason didn't warn them that there was a low-level bridge down that road. Truck drivers have ended up on pedestrian bridges following the GPS. So be careful when the GPS tells you to do something. Always check your surroundings and make sure you can actually do what it's telling you to do. This would probably be an important time to point out. I have no experience driving an 18-speed truck. I am licensed to drive trucks that have automatic transmissions and 10-speed transmissions, which are manual. So I can only really drive up to 10 speed. I have no idea how to drive an 18-speed. So if you're an expert in driving 18-speed trucks and you realize that I'm driving in the wrong gear, just know that I have no experience with that kind of truck. I really wish this game had 10-speed trucks, because that's what I'm more used to driving. Usually when I make a 90-degree turn, I do so at 15 miles per hour. I used to do it a lot slower than that, but as soon as I got on the road with a trainer driving for a company, my trainer taught me how to make 90-degree turns faster. So I was watching this video on YouTube where they were talking about these driverless trucks that are apparently being built, and they mentioned how these driverless trucks are geared for speeds up to 75 miles per hour. And the narrator said, "That's ridiculous. You can't go 75 miles per hour without getting fired." And I'm like, yes, you can. The fastest I've ever driven a truck was 75 miles per hour on a stretch of road in Arizona where the top speed limit on the highway is 75. So you can actually go that fast without getting in any trouble with the law. And for the most part, the company's not going to fire you for going fast as long as you're going under the speed limit. However, when my trainer found out I was going that fast, he told me to slow down because 75 miles per hour wastes fuel. He told me that I shouldn't go any faster than 70 miles per hour in the truck. I have a very good driving record on the highway with 0 accidents. I do have one accident where I wasn't at fault. In this case, I was merging onto the right lane in Texas, one of the places you should never change lanes because in Texas there are a bunch of reckless drivers that hate when a truck gets in front of them. So basically, this reckless pickup driver thought he would take out his anger on me, so he accelerated and rammed into the back of the trailer, which then pushed him off the road. And then of course he's gonna act like it's my fault that he got hit by the trailer, even though he's the one that accelerated into the back of the truck. And then he actually pulls up beside me and starts yelling at me as if it's my fault. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have accelerated. Like, there was plenty of space between the back of the trailer and the front of that pickup when I started making that lane change. And but while I was making the lane change, he just accelerated into the truck. I don't understand why some drivers get so angry when there's a truck in front of them. Like, if the truck is slowing you down too much, then just leave earlier so you can get to your destination in time in spite of how slow the truck is going. I mean, it baffles me how some people get angry when there's a truck slowing them down when they could have solved the problem by just leaving earlier. And why are some drivers so angry? Just calm down! This guy's moving a little too slow for me, so I'm just gonna go around him. Now, be careful when going around trucks. There was one time when I was in the state of Illinois, there was a bunch of trucks in the right lane going slow, so I decided to go around them. But then I saw this sign, "Way station, all trucks must exit." And I'm like, oh shoot, I better get into the right lane as quickly as possible. Luckily, the guy that was behind me slowed down so I could get back into the right lane. So yeah, if you see a long line of trucks in the right lane going slow, you should probably stay with them because they probably know something you don't know. They probably were familiar with that section of the road and knew that there was a way station ahead. But sadly, I had never driven on that road prior, so I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, if you see a bunch of trucks in the right lane, you should probably be with them in the right lane as well. It might be something that you had to pull over for. Whenever I have a choice, I try to make sure all my lane changes happen on straight sections of road, where I have the most visibility of the side of the trailer. This brings up an important point. Do not trust other truck drivers on the road. They might be more stupid than you are. Seriously. I was once driving in Mississippi during very stormy weather, and I was driving at a nice leisurely pace, making sure I was in control of the truck, you know, like a smart driver would do. But there was this other truck driver in the left lane trying to pass me. He was going so fast that his trailer kept sliding in and out of his lane, and I'm like, well, I should slow down, because if I don't, he might slide right into me and knock me off the road. So I slow down, and as soon as I get my nose behind his trailer, it slides all the way into the emergency lane, and I'm like, well, that could have been me if I didn't slow down earlier. It baffles me how a truck driver, someone who's supposed to be a professional driver, would drive so fast in the rain that the trailer is sliding out of their lane. I mean, seriously, I might not have died if he had hit me because I'm in a truck, but imagine if there was a car driving next to him. That person could have died, and this guy didn't care. Okay, we've reached the final destination, which in my opinion has always been the most frustrating part of truck driving. I like driving trucks on the highway, but I hate the actual delivery process, mainly because of store managers. I'm not sure what it is with store managers, but I feel like when they go through training on how to be a store manager, they're specifically trained on how to be as frustrating and difficult to deal with as a person as they can be. In fact, we in the trucking industry have a word that we use to describe store managers. It's a two-syllable word that starts with the letter A and rhymes with glass bowl. But seriously, every single store manager I've ever had, they're always frustratingly rude at you. I mean, frustratingly rude to you. I once had a store manager that was helping, quote unquote, me unload the trailer, but she was doing it incorrectly. She was not unloading the trailer the proper way, and I tried to warn her, if you do it that way, all the boxes are going to fall, and then we're going to have a big mess all over the floor. But she wouldn't listen to me because she was stubborn and hard-headed, and a certain two-syllable word that starts with the letter A and rhymes with glass bowl. So anyway, eventually she ends up dropping a bunch of boxes on the ground, and then she's like, this is all your fault. If you hadn't unloaded so slowly, this wouldn't have happened. And I'm like, excuse me? I told you what you could have done to prevent that from happening, but you wouldn't listen to me. And then one of the other workers inside the store says, make him pick it up. And I'm like, I ain't picking up jack. You drop something, you pick it up. This is the kind of stuff you have to deal with when unloading at stores. In fact, if you have to work at a truck driving company and you have to drive to grocery stores, I would recommend buying earplugs so you don't have to hear any of the garbage that comes out of the store manager's mouth. Trust me, they never say anything that's actually worth listening to anyway, so just ignore every single thing they say. They never say anything important. Now, I know how to back up a truck even in situations like this because I have had to do this before. However, it would take me a little bit longer than it would someone that has been driving for several years, because obviously someone with more experience, they can figure out how they're supposed to do it faster. However, store managers don't understand this. The most common insults I would get when trying to back up is that they would call me a stupid, incompetent fool because it's taking me slightly longer than it would take some of their other drivers to do it. Which is why I tell you, you should bring earplugs and ignore every single thing the managers say, because they never say anything useful, just insults. And this is personal experience with every store manager I've ever dealt with. I will never work at a grocery store because if managers are as terrible to their workers as they are to their truck drivers, I don't want to be anywhere near them ever again. In fact, there have been some managers that I actually envisioned punching in the face. I wanted to hurt them because of the words they were coming out of their mouth, that nonsense that I was hearing, and it was so frustrating and annoying. Also, for the record, my trainer often got smiley faces and comments on his paperwork saying, great backer and stuff like that. However, I only got frowny faces on my paperwork and comments like, needs a little help, slow loader, slow it backing up. Which was another thing that I found particularly frustrating. In fact, I will never drive to grocery stores ever again. I will only, if I ever end up going back to truck driving again, I will only pick careers that specifically don't route to grocery stores. In fact, I will ask the company when I apply to them, you don't route to grocery stores, do you? And if the answer is yes, I will not drive for that company, because I have had it up to here with grocery store managers. Also, word of advice, if you're actually making a delivery something like this, or really any delivery, you should always get out and look when you back up. If you don't get out and look, you will most likely hit something. So every time you back up even a few inches, get out and look, then get back in, back up a few inches, get out and look again. This is advice one of my trainers told me. However, Store managers don't understand that you have to get out and look when backing out. So when you get out of the truck, they will call you an idiot for getting out of the truck, and they will tell you to get back in and hurry up because they don't have much time. Ignore them when they do that because, like I said, they never say anything useful. Just get out and look and explain to, and you can try explaining to them why you're getting out and look, but they won't get it. They'll be like, what do you mean you can't see behind you? Don't you have mirrors on your truck? So it's not even worth it explaining to them why you have to get out and look. Just do it anyway. Whatever they say, just ignore them because it's not important. What's important is you safely delivering this trailer like I just did. I once had one of the most stupid store managers. They insisted on standing between the truck and the building, which caused me, of course, to have to stop. And then when I stopped, they would walk up to my truck and be like, why are you stopping? Hurry up and back up, you idiot! And I'm like, I wouldn't have to stop if you would stop standing between the truck and the building like a total fool. Now get over there and wait there until I finish backing. I literally had to scold them like a child because they were acting like a child. I told them several times to stay stay in the building. Don't even get out when I'm trying to back up. But they're just so stubborn and hard-headed.